Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well. And today's episode is going to be about nourishing your soul, and finding out how your needs can change in this process that we're all going through, okay? But before we get into it, make sure you guys like that video, smash the like button, right? Subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a comment on what you think, and let's get into it. All right, now. We all have different needs, right? I love the saying that I made up myself that we all look the same, but we all have different needs, right? We all have two eyes, two hands, just look the same. You could say, oh, like anyone could need this, like a certain amount of water, a certain amount of sleep, get a job, do this and that, and you should be fine, right? One size fits all type of way of looking at things, right? And I would like to say that that's usually not the case, right? Now you would think, oh, that kind of goes without saying, but especially now, in a time where we're trying to integrate our soul, a lot of that can change, right? So one way that can happen is knowing how much time you need to recharge yourself, or how much time you need in nature, how much time you need to truly focus on yourself, right? All this can change within the times that we're going in right now. Why is that? It's because there's a split going on, right? So while the majority of people are living in the dense 3D world that we see, right? Everything you see behind me, even this body, most of it, not all, but most, right? Most of the people we know only live within these borders, right? Just the physical. But if you're starting to live and experience more of the non-physical side, you'll realize that can change you and how you operate in this world. Now, how does that relate to what you need on a day-to-day basis? Now, for me, I always love sharing my own experiences because we're really a lot more similar than we think, Which is another thing I love saying, because as much as we are different and we do have different needs, we are all truly one at the end of the day, which is funny to say, but it's kind of true. We all are connected. So even though we do have different needs, we all are experiencing a lot of the same things. But now, the 5D, 3D split. Okay, so there's a lot of energetic work going on behind the scenes, right? Every time you go to sleep, there's a lot of things happening that we're maybe not too much aware of, right? Because energy is non-physical, right? So the more we are starting to work with it, that changes our reality, changes us, changes how we view ourselves, everything else, how we feel, because the soul is being more involved into our everyday lives. And this is happening more naturally than ever before, right? So some of these things can hit you by surprise. You may wake up one day and the cereal in the morning is just not hitting the same. It's just not tasting as good as it once was. You're like, you know what? Like, you're just like, what? Just like your whole taste buds have changed overnight. It could even be what you see as fun that could change, So all these things can happen pretty much overnight if you're working with the non-physical side of energy and just life in general. Now, this all comes with knowing more about your soul. Now, this is a process we're all going through, and you kind of go through it just naturally without having to be spiritual, because a lot of these things are innate. Like, they're already here in us. You don't have to try to bring it out. It can come out just from experiencing this, So once experiences start happening to you where you are experiencing more different feelings that you haven't felt before, you're seeing things that you may never seen before, just your subtle psychic abilities start turning on. You start sensing and being more aware of things that you weren't before. Now, again, all this is happening naturally, but it's also something you can accelerate or you can decelerate. It's something you can speed up or slow down. It's all dependent up to you. Now, you speed it up, it's the trusting and the letting go and the aligning to everything that you want, letting go of fear, stuff like that. And the resisting of that, whatever it is that you feel in your heart, is kind of going to go the other way into the 3D part. Regardless what way you choose, we're all going to the same place. So whether you take the plane to the mountaintop or you walk through the valleys, we're all going to meet there regardless, right? So it doesn't really matter what you choose. There's no bad way or good way. Nothing of that sort, right? We're all going to meet at the same place regardless. But more specifically, the more and more we integrate our soul, or the more and more we start to identify ourselves with something more and bigger than just our physical bodies, a lot of what you want is going to change. That could even be your career, life choices, relationships, all these things, right? So to never be afraid to just change your mind. You may literally wake up one day and everything starts making sense in a different way. Maybe you were confused at a certain point, but now you're not. So now you're just making the changes. And for me, at least, I feel like the easy part is dealing with yourself, at least for me. And then the outside world, it's a thing that you kind of have to let it do its thing. You have to let it be. Because you can try to control how other people feel about what you're doing or how you're changing, but a lot of it doesn't really matter. Don't matter. Because all that matters is how you feel inside and your connection to your own soul, and everything else will fall into place. Guarantee it. But who knows? Maybe that's what you needed to see to grow. We don't know exactly the plan that's here for us. All that's left for us to do is just follow our intuitions, our heart, and to be in alignment as much as we can to our highest purpose. Whatever that looks like. You may not even know what that looks like, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. You just follow what we know now, and that's enough. That will take you a lot farther than trying to guess where you're gonna go, So all these things can change very quickly in the climate we're in right now, energetically, as in things are a lot easier to connect to, good and or bad, like resisting and expansiveness, like both of them are more easily accessible, but sooner or later, the paths are gonna get further away. It's gonna be harder to jump back and forth, but it's not to worry to say you have to make sure you have to do this or that to stay on the good path, because no matter what, you'll know inside if that's where you feel like you're going to end up or you want to end up. So all of this does take time. It's a lot different than just feeling hungry and then just eating, or knowing you have to take a shower and then showering, or doing this or that, like the 3D things, because it's a lot more subtle and you have to pay attention like a bit more than you would for other things to know when you have to meditate or when you have to take a walk or do all these things, right? So it does take time, but it's so worth it, because sooner or later, everything that we're seeing now is going to be the reverse. So it's going to be a great world we're going to live in sooner or later. So this is all that we're preparing for right now. The front runners of this new generation, the new landscape of Earth, and how it's going to look, how it's going to feel, it's going to change. All these small little details that we're doing right now. And knowing what we need to nourish our soul. And finding more about that, because it's a journey. That's the whole part of it. It's a journey. What's the point of the story if you know everything about it by the end? Until the end, sorry. That's the whole point, just to go through it. You don't know what's going to happen. That's the greatest part. So for now, make sure you're getting what you need. Not only just the 3D things, but the 5D aspects, your emotional aspects, energy, body. There's a lot to go over, but try to keep it simple with just trying to be in alignment as best as you can. From there, everything else will fall into your hands. And all you gotta do, eat the cake. Cake will fall into your hands. All you gotta do is enjoy it, or bake it if the ingredients fall in your hand. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video. Big up, and we'll see you next time. Peace.